Invasion and humiliation. You know what the invasion is, right? Invasion by the southern border. What they've done to our country is unbelievable, allowing more than 21 million people into our country. Many of them are murderers. Many of them are drug dealers. They're from mental institutions. He says, send them back. You're right. Do you come from Latrobe by any chance? Yeah, he does. But Americans are ready to be free from Kamala Harris. You know that whenever I use the word Harris, everybody says, who's Harris? They have no idea who Harris is. That's true. They have no idea who's Harris. But Kamala, and to reclaim the future that is rightfully yours, you're going to reclaim it. This election is a choice between whether we will have a incredible 4 more years of failure. It's such a horrible 4 years. We had a horrible, think of that. Everything they touch turns to everything. Inflation, Afghanistan. How about Afghanistan? Most embarrassing moment in the history of it. Everything they've touched. Even now he's telling Israel, everything he said to Israel was exactly the opposite. He's the greatest, I will say this about Biden. He's the single greatest expert on foreign policy in history. You know what that means? If you did the exact opposite of what he suggested every single time, you'd go down as the greatest foreign policy president in history. If you did the exact opposite. Everything's a failure. And he's telling Bibi Netanyahu, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. All our great congressmen are there. Don't do any of these things. And Bibi didn't listen to him. And I tell you what, they're in a much stronger position now than they were 3 months ago. That's for sure. Nobody's ever seen anything like has happened. And Bibi called me today and he said, it's incredible what's happened. They said, it's pretty incredible. But he wouldn't listen to Biden because if he did, they wouldn't be in this position. And she's worse than him. She's not as smart as him. And I'm not saying he's the smartest. I'm not saying he's the smartest. But she's not as smart as him. And I think maybe, based on early results, maybe he'd be doing better than her. We have results coming out where we actually now don't have to rely on the polls. We're doing good in the polls, but we don't have to rely on the polls. Remember, they stole the election from an American president. They stole it. I could say coup. I don't even want to call it. They just stole the election. They said, we're taking the election away. He got 14 million votes, and he won. 22 people running, 22 Democrats there running. Oh, I'm looking at my hair up there. Let's see. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. Excuse me, I'm going to recomb my hair. Do you mind? I'll leave the stage for 5 minutes. I'm going to recomb my hair, Mr. Future Senator. We have David down here. Mr. Future Senator, you got to get him in. You're doing good, too. Well, let's keep it the way it is. Let's just keep going, right? We'll trudge through it. But this election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of failure and disaster, and that's what it's been. It's been failure. We're disrespected all over the world. They're laughed at all over the world. They're laughing at him and they're laughing at her. The other night they had Catholic Charities. They had the biggest event, the Al Smith dinner. It's the biggest event of the year for Catholics. And she's the only one in years, decades, that didn't show up. She didn't show up. She wouldn't be there. She wouldn't be there. She said no. And she ended up doing a tape that was pathetic. And it was an insult to Catholics, frankly, because she was actually sort of knocking them or knocking religion. Then she had the other event the other day where she said, you're in the wrong location when they started talking about a certain subject, right? You're in which basically was a knock on Christianity and a knock on religion, because she doesn't know what the hell she's saying. But there had been a failure, it's been a disaster, or you're going to have 4 years, and they will be the 4 greatest years in the history of our country if we